Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Vishpad Brahmhamsa Parivakacharya Sodar Sada Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki. Jaya Vishpad Brahmhamsa Parivakacharya Sodar Sada Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki. Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. So reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 6, The Demigods and Demons Declare a Truce. Text 14. Satvam vidatsvakhila lokapala Vayam yadarthastava padamulam samagataste bahirantaratman kim vanya vigyapyamashesha sakshina Satvam vidatsvakhila lokapala Vayam yadarthastava padamulam Samagataste bahirantaratman Kim vanya vigyapyamashesha sakshina Satvam vidasvakhila lokapala Vayam yadarthastava padamulam Samagataste bahirantaratman Kim vanya vigyapyamashesha sakshina Mataris. Word to word translation. Saha, that. Tvam, your lordship. Vidatsva, kindly do the needful. Akhila Lokapala, the demigods, directors of different departments of this universe. Vayam, all of us. Yet, that which. Artha, purpose. Tava, at your lordships. Padamulam, lotus feet. Samagata, we have arrived. Te, unto you. Bahi Antamana Atman. O super soul of everyone. O constant internal and external witness. Kim, what? Va, either. Anya Vigyapyam, we have to inform you. Asesha Shakshina, the witness and knower of everything. Translation. My Lord, we, the various demigods, the directors of this universe, have come to your lotus feet. Please fulfill the purpose for which we have come. You are the witness of everything, from within and without. Nothing is unknown to you, and therefore it is unnecessary to inform you again of anything. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, verse 3, Kshetragyam chapivam vidhi sarvakshetreshu bharata. The individual souls are proprietors of their individual bodies, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the proprietor of all the bodies. Since He is the witness of everyone's body, nothing is unknown to Him. He knows what we need. Our duty, therefore, is to execute devotional service sincerely under the direction of the spiritual master. Krishna, by His grace, will supply whatever we need in executing our devotional service. In the Krishna consciousness movement, we simply have to execute the order of Krishna and Guru. Then all necessities will be supplied by Krishna, even if we do not ask for them. It's a very beautiful verse and purport, which is continuation of the demigods' prayers. And we can see here how this one very nice verse that's quoted from Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada quotes 13.3, which is a very nice verse, Kshetra Gyam Chapimam Vidhi Sarva Kshetresu Bharata, and which is explaining how there is a difference between the individual soul and the super soul. So the difference is that one individual soul is the knower within the own body, whereas there is a super soul who is the knower within all the bodies. And this is one of the very important verses which actually explains the difference between the individual soul and the super soul, and very clearly very easily clarifies how the individual soul is not the super soul, because we are not the knower within all the bodies. But here, the demigods are acknowledging that the super soul is within all the bodies, and he exactly knows what's going on within each one of us, what our desires are. So demigods are being very practical here. They're trying to perform a devotional service of what is allocated to them. They have their universal management responsibilities, and just like we have our responsibilities to manage our work, manage our family, and then we also have to manage devotional service with all of that. And so we pray sometimes, sometimes our responsibilities, our services are very hard, and sometimes we struggle. We don't know how to fulfill the services that we've been allocated. And so therefore we have to pray that, okay, now I don't know what to do from here. So Krishna, please help me. And here the demigods are also similarly acknowledging, although they are the great personalities in the universal scale, we can see that even they are limited in how much abilities they have. And everyone is given service according to their own capacity. So we can see that here the demigods who have the great abilities, but then they have the great responsibilities also. And their services are quite amazing. So here we can see that these demigods are being honest. And they're saying that, Krishna, we need help because we can't really go ahead with this anymore. So we have come to a halt right now. We have a business to deal with all these demons. And we need your help. We can't do it ourselves. So in this way, Bhagavatam is teaching us how to take shelter of Krishna. So in challenging time, in difficult times, we have to take shelter of Krishna. We have to surrender to Him. We have to pray for Him and for His help. But then here it's interesting because Bhagavatam is also teaching us the attitude and how we should approach Krishna. What attitude we should approach Krishna and how we should take shelter. So here the demigods are saying that, we are the directors of this universe, but now we have come to your lotus feet. You can fulfill the purpose for which we have come. Nothing is unknown to you, so therefore there is no need, there is no necessity for us to inform what we have come here for, And the devotees are like that. Devotees are praying to Krishna. Krishna, I'm struggling right now in my devotion service and I need your help. But at the same time, we are not going to tell Krishna what he needs to do. We don't need to tell Krishna how he needs to help us, because Krishna is all powerful, but Krishna is all knowledgeable also. And he knows what we need. So, Krishna is within the heart of all the living entities, and actually he is right next to the soul. So, he knows exactly what's going on for the soul. And he knows, the super soul knows before even we do about ourselves, of what we need. So therefore, super soul exactly knows what we want, and super soul also knows what we exactly need. So therefore, we are not going to try and direct Krishna and tell him what he needs to do for us. Krishna, please give me certain amount of money, give me certain amount of friends, family members, give me certain amount of this or that, so that I can do my service. No, because Krishna exactly knows what he needs to give us, and what we need to receive, and when we need to receive what we need to receive. Krishna exactly knows, and Krishna is in control. Especially in the life of devotees, Krishna is always in control. So this is a very beautiful prayer by the demigods, and Prabhupada actually in his final days, in final moments, he also taught devotees how devotees should pray. And I was just looking at one very old photo of one of the devotees, and in BBT, and there's a wall in BBT, and then there was this prayer printed by the devotee. And the prayer was, "My dear Lord Krishna, if you desire, please cure Srila Prabhupada." It's a very nice prayer actually. And because devotees did not know anything in the early days of how to serve, how to pray, and so Prabhupada had to teach them everything. And so Prabhupada taught him that because Prabhupada's health was deteriorating, and it was that Prabhupada can leave any moment. But then devotees were very worried that if Prabhupada leaves, because we are all so new, he said, we have no idea how to run an international society. We don't know how to, preach. We don't know really how to do the deity worship. We still don't have the full Bhagavatam. There's so many problems here right now. And so how can we possibly manage without Prabhupada? If Prabhupada leaves right now, how will we do this? So they went and they asked Prabhupada, can we pray that, you should continue? And Prabhupada said, no, we should always pray that if you so desire, my dear Krishna, then protect Prabhupada. So this is the prayer, this is the mood that the devotees have, is that we want to pray to Krishna that you know what is right and you know what is good, and so if you so desire, please let us have this. But while we are struggling, Prabhupada makes it very clear in this purport, and it's very, very nice here. Prabhupada says, our duty is to just execute devotional service sincerely under the direction of the spiritual master, and then Krishna will supply whatever is necessary in executing our devotional service. So we just have to simply execute the order of Guru and Krishna. We need to find out what they want of us, and we just try our best to do it. And then in the process, all the necessities will be provided. Now that can be a little bit difficult for some people. That how can that be? How is that possible? That I can just go on with my service. But very nice example is of a child, a little child in the family, and he's never worried, will my food come on my plate? Do I have to, how the money is going to come to home? How am I going to keep going to school? He's not worried about that. He's just, okay, I want to learn an instrument. He just have to go and tell dad, okay, I want to learn such and such instrument. Can you please help me? All the money will be provided, the tuition will be provided, the schooling will be provided, everything is provided. Child doesn't have to worry. Child wants, oh, today I want to eat such and such meals. He doesn't have to worry about, like, does my parents know how to cook? Where will the money come? No, nothing. He desires and it's provided. Yeah. So we can see that the child is never anxious about how his life will be provided for. And so similarly, a devotee is similarly not worried about how his material needs will be provided. So we try our best and we try what is required. So we are never irresponsible. But at the same time, we know that Krishna has got us covered. So we are not materially ever anxious because we know that actually, okay, Krishna will provide. And so we just have to, so therefore the children, they only have to do one thing, and they have to just keep obedient to the parents, isn't it? As long as they're well-behaved children, then they know that parents would provide. Because parents know that, okay, here is a child and he's dependent on me. And so Prabhupada, in one of the purports in prayer of Queen Kunti, and he says something very similar. He says that the younger children, the parents are always very responsible. They always feel very responsible for the younger children especially, because they're fully dependent on the parents. And they know that there is no way that they can manage themselves, that only parents can help them. And that's the only way they can go about their life. And so because they are so dependent, then Krishna always, the parents always make sure that they're well looked after. So that's the same, because the devotees know that there is no way that I can manage the difficulties or the challenges in my life, and especially when it comes to performing my devotional service and when I have the challenges, there's no way I can continue unless Krishna really comes in my life. So, but our problem can be that sometimes we can get too carried away by what we don't have. And a lot of time that could be the reason why we wouldn't do the devotional service. A lot of time, a lot of devotees mention that, oh, I can't face people, and so therefore I can't go on Harinam. There's too many people around. Or, oh, I'm not very intelligent, I'm not very shastrik, so I cannot preach. Or, oh, I can't really talk to new people, so I will not try to distribute books. And so in that way we can come up with many different reasons why we don't have certain things, and so therefore we will not be able to do the devotional service. The weather is not good, the health is not good. So many reasons, and sometimes reasons can be genuine, but we know that even though the challenges, there are challenges, there are difficulties in our life, we know that if we actually try sincerely, then Krishna can make the arrangements. Yes. So there's a very nice quote by Bhaktivedanta Maharaj. I like that. He said, when you don't feel the capability to do something, any service, but you say yes in the mood of service, that's when the empowerment happens. This is a very nice quote. And we take on board whatever service that we get given by Guru and Krishna. And sometimes it's very hard, and we don't really see how I'll be able to fulfill those instructions, but we'll still take it in the mood of service. That, okay, somehow Krishna or the devotees wants that I do it, and so at least sincerely, at least I will try my best and see if I can do it. And even after trying for a long time, one time I remember one spiritual master, and he asked one of his disciples to distribute books, and that was not his nature. And so he tried, and because it's the instruction of the Guru, and so he tried, and he kept trying, and obviously the books were not going because he was trying. He was really trying. And after some time, he went to spiritual master again and said, okay, I really tried and I spent quite a lot of time, but I just cannot. And then the spiritual master said, okay, then you can do something else. But then, we know there was one devotee here many years ago, and one of his realization was that Prabhupada wants devotees to distribute books, and Prabhupada wants devotees to really share this Krishna consciousness. And he was a person that we would never hear a word from his mouth. He would never speak a word. And he would go out on book distribution, and we all know it's going to be very hard. He's not going to be able to do it, And he would just stand there on the Swanson Street for hours. And sometimes we say, Prabhu, at least you need to approach people, at least call them, at least talk to them, say something. You're not going to be able to distribute books like this. Yeah? Try to say something, but it was so much against his nature. But at the same time, he really felt that he should try. And he tried, and actually tried for quite a few months, very regularly going out and distributing books. And it was nothing much happened. Few books went out, but he was very sincere in his effort, and it was very special. And then of course there's very nice example of that His Holiness Devamrita Swami mentions that Prabhupada wanted all the devotees to go out and distribute books, and he was a person, as he mentions, that he would be just happy to stay in the background. He would be happy to do books, editing for the books, and do a lot of other services. But then devotees said, no, everyone out on distribute books. And he would go out and distribute books, and he would actually try to distribute books, and he would go for hours every day trying to distribute books. Every day, 7 days a week, all the days of the month, for years. And he says that at least for first few years of his full-time book distribution, when he says full-time means at least 6, 7, 8 hours every day for 7 days. And he said, in the first few years, I can only count handful of books that I distributed. It's like on my fingers, that's how many books I distributed. But he said, but Prabhupada wanted us to distribute books. What could I do, So we had to somehow keep going and keep trying. And it was so difficult that although he was trying everything, he was saying all the right things. He was saying exactly, he would listen to all the experienced book distributors, how they speak, how they approach people, how the body language was. And he was doing exactly the same thing, everything. And still nothing was going out. There's no books were going out. And it was very difficult. And actually all the devotees, all the other God brothers, they would come to him and they would say you're just a hard luck kid, that you cannot distribute. But they would appreciate the sincerity, but at the same time it was just very difficult. And after years and years of going out and he mentions his realization that although I didn't like the service, but I was determined to like it, because after all, Prabhupada wanted it. So after years, finally, one day, something just happened, something just changed. And all of a sudden, on that day, he approached one person, and he said the same thing that he always would, and he knew that person is not going to take the book, because nobody does for him. But then this person said, oh yeah, okay, sure, I will take the book. How much you want? And he said, oh yeah, such and such. And he gave the donation, he walked away. He said, wow, this is interesting, someone took it. And then he approached the next person. And the next person again, he said, oh, Krishna book, okay, what is that about? Da-da-da-da, okay, and he pays the money, he walks away. He said, okay, this is interesting, 2 books in a day, this is unheard of, I have never done this before, This is very, very new for me. So then he was very happy, and then he went to approach the next person again, and he took it, and the next person, and he took it, and before you know, the whole box was finished. So, and all the devotees were surprised, did you start learning and start chanting a new mantra, or what's happening here? How are you able to distribute so many books? And he said, I'm just doing the same thing I've always been doing. But obviously, Lord Chaitanya just opened up the door, yes, and all the mercy flowed. So it's things like that can happen, and that in our devotion service, that if we just keep trying and keep doing our service. I was actually hearing Achyuta Gopi Mataji's, and Mataji was mentioning this, and she was mentioning that it was very hard for her to actually sing in public, and she was a person who was very, very shy, and doing kirtan in public in front of so many people, she would be extremely afraid and scared of, and she wouldn't be able to do it. But then she quoted this quote by Bhaktivedanta, and she said, actually, well, I'll just do this as a service. Devotees want me to do it, I'll just sit there and I'll just do it as my service. Although I'm not comfortable doing it, I'm just still going to try. And because you're doing that with that mood, and that's the right mood, that, okay, I cannot do this, I don't have the capability, but I'm still going to try to serve Guru and Krishna and try to glorify them. And in the process, we'll see what happens. So here, Bhaktivedanta Maharaj says that in such attitude, in such service attitude, and you say yes, then the empowerment comes. And so you start, and she was mentioning how, you start doing the kirtan. I said she started doing kirtan, and at one point, something kind of just takes over. And then you know that that's not you anymore. So even in different of our services, in the beginning there's a bit of a struggle. We know that I'm really not the right person for this, but at the same time, devotees want me to do this, so I'm going to try. In the process, somewhere in the process, we'll see that, okay, actually something is happening. All of a sudden I'm actually achieving something here, and that Krishna is really providing. So that things like that can happen. But that obviously requires that one has to take up that pain of being humble and saying that, okay, well, I don't have the power for this, but I'm still going to try and do this. Actually, it's very interesting when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, or when Prabhupada, when he first met his Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and the first instruction that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave him was, you are a learned English-speaking person. Why don't you preach this message of Lord Chaitanya in the West? And Prabhupada thought that was impossible. How can I do this? I'm just an ordinary person. How can I teach this message in the English-speaking people? And of course, he came up with some excuse that India needs to be freed first, otherwise who's going to listen? And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that no, actually Lord Chaitanya's mission is very, very important. He cannot wait for anything external. So you have to try. But then of course, Prabhupada was defeated and he accepted it. But at the same time, he couldn't really understand how can he do this service? How can he preach the message of Lord Chaitanya in the West, or the people, English-speaking people? And he thought maybe he can try by preaching first to Indians, get some support, and then take his team overseas, and then he can preach on a grander scale. Or maybe that didn't work out. Then he said, okay, maybe I should make money, and maybe the money will help me. Didn't work out. Maybe at least nobody else can help. Okay, at least my family can help. Didn't work. Okay, I have to just go by myself with no money and no support. And as he tried, but before he went to West, and this is when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was still physically present. And one time he was in Vrindavan, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he took a big yatra of many devotees in Vrindavan. And this was unheard of, to take so many. Now we have so many yatras. We have yatras by so many different spiritual masters and devotees. But this was unheard of when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did it. That was the first time. And so he took hundreds and hundreds of devotees to this yatra. And they were going through different pilgrimage places, taking darshans, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur will give lecture. So there is one particular spot where devotees were staying, and one devotee came and he made an announcement. One senior devotee made an announcement that, okay, now there are some devotees, they are going to go to such and such place to take darshan of such and such deity, very, very special deity, and everyone is going to take darshan. And others who likes can stay, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Guru Maharaj, will give a class. So everyone said, oh really, okay, this is the opportunity to go and take darshan and take the blessings of the deities. So let's go. And so practically hundreds and hundreds, so many devotees, they actually left and they went to take darshan. And very few people, they stayed to listen to the class by the Guru Maharaj. And one of the persons who stayed was Srila Prabhupada. And he said, what's the point in going and taking darshan? What's the point in going to the dham and just, taking darshan or taking prasad or taking the blessings? What's the point if I'm not associating with my spiritual master, and if I'm not listening, if I'm not hearing from him? And so he stayed back and he actually heard. So now, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's class were not particularly, very entertaining. He wouldn't, it's not like he would tell a lot of stories, a lot of jokes, or in between, somehow he would try and keep his audience awake, His class was very dense, very technically rich, and long classes. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he started giving class. He spoke for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. The lecture is going on and on and on and on and on. Now, there's only a handful of devotees who actually stayed. Everyone else had left. So a few devotees who stayed. In this few devotees, slowly, one by one, all the sannyasis, all the devotees started leaving the class. He said, oh, I have such and such service, I have such and such duty for the traveling, for the yatra, this and that. And they all started leaving. And so finally, by the end of the class, there were only very, very few devotees who were actually left in the class. And Prabhupada says that I was the only external person. External meaning that he was not part of the core crew. And he was there and he was listening to the entire class. And by the end of few hours of class, Prabhupada says that he was so enthused by the class, he was so inspired by the class, that he just wanted Bhaktisiddhanta to just keep going. And he wanted to just keep listening to these amazing philosophical convictions. And that gave him so much faith. And so he wanted to just keep listening. And much later, so Prabhupada had never met Bhaktisiddhanta personally. So much later, few months later, when one of the devotees, he actually introduced Abhay Prabhupada to Bhaktisiddhanta and sort of recommending for the initiation. And when the devotees recommended Prabhupada for the initiation to Bhaktisiddhanta, to everyone's surprise, Bhaktisiddhanta knew this person. And he said that, oh yes, I know this person. He said he likes to hear. He said something very nice. He said, yeah, yes, exchanging looks with Abhay. He likes to hear. He does not go away. I have marked him and I will accept him as my disciple. So very sweet. And when Prabhupada heard this, then Prabhupada was thinking about this, and he was reflecting on this. He was reflecting on Prabhupada's and Bhaktisiddhanta's words that yes, he likes to hear, and so that was the words of his spiritual master, and he really took it to the heart. And he says later is that he thought that then, yes, he likes to hear. Yes, then he thought, I will be able to speak as well. Because there are 9 processes of devotional service. The Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, etc. So they say Prabhupada said that yes, the first is the Shravanam, first is the hearing, and so if I hear attentively, then I'll be able to preach as well. So that was the mood of Prabhupada. And so we can see that how this mood of serving the instructions of Guru and Krishna, despite all the difficulties, actually one thing that really qualifies us to keep going with our service is our hearing, constant hearing of our spiritual masters and of the devotees. And by this constant hearing, we can see that we'll be able to dedicate to the process, even though sometimes it's very difficult. And so that was the mood, as we can see that Prabhupada took on that challenge, not challenge, but the instruction, and he accepted that it's going to be difficult, but he still took it on board, and despite so many difficulties, he did it. And we can see how so many devotees, the early followers of Prabhupada, it was difficult for them also. Prabhupada would just tell them instructions. He would give them the instructions, which is impossible for them to follow, practically speaking. You know, when they're going to the train, when they were traveling, all these Western disciples were traveling with Prabhupada in India, and they would just stop by at a train station, and Prabhupada would say, oh, there's no ISKCON center here. So he said, okay, you and you, okay, get off here and open a center. And these are Western devotees. They don't speak the language. They don't have the money. They don't have any support. He said, how we will do this? You know, how can we do this? And Prabhupada said, I did this. Krishna will help you. And they will just go. And they will try, and they were successful because they had faith in the instructions of the Guru. And very, very interesting, as an example, interesting pastime of when Prabhupada wanted the Bhagavad Gita published, and Prabhupada asked devotees, publish Bhagavad Gita, we need this book published because so many people need to read it. And it went eventually to Brahmananda Prabhu, who was one of the early disciples of Prabhupada. And Brahmananda Prabhu actually explains that Prabhupada told him to publish the book. And Brahmananda Prabhu has no idea how a book publishing works. You know, he said, what am I supposed to do? You know, like I have this manuscript that Prabhupada has written, and now what do I do with it? I have no clue. And so they would go, Brahmananda Prabhu would say that he would just go to the library, he would read some books about how the publishing works, but he really has no clue, what to do. And then when he was trying different things and asking different people, sending letters, but no one was really responding. All the replies for all the publishing companies would be just, we at the moment we're tied up, very busy with different other publishing, so we don't have time for this. And obviously nobody had time for this because it didn't really have any monetary value. There was it wasn't like a very scholarly presentation. Like it was all about Krishna consciousness. Bhagavad Gita was all about Krishna consciousness. Anyone who would read it, they would see that, okay, this is Krishna consciousness. And anyone who is not into Krishna consciousness, why would they be interested in reading a Bhagavad Gita, So it doesn't have any scholarly references, there is no stories, there is nothing very entertaining about the Bhagavad Gita. So obviously no one was interested in publishing it. But Prabhupada wanted the books, this Bhagavad Gita published. And so he was constantly asking the devotees, he was constantly asking, pushing Brahmananda Prabhu, publish this book. And Brahmananda Prabhu was really trying his best, and he was trying different things, and nothing was working. So that time, what they were doing is, they had just launched an album with Yamuna Mataji and few other devotees, and this album, Hare Krishna album. And so they were distributing these albums to a lot of people, and a lot of people were actually buying it. And so one time, Brahmananda Prabhu got a letter, and the letter was someone again asking to buy a Hare Krishna album. But the letter was from a Macmillan Publishing. And so when Brahmananda Prabhu received that, and he got so excited, he ran to Prabhupada. He said, Prabhupada, he said, such and such person has asked for Hare Krishna album, Hare Krishna album. And Prabhupada said, yes. He said, very nice. He said, so you take this manuscript and you ask them to publish Bhagavad Gita. So, Brahmananda Prabhu again, they're just all so new. They have no idea about what to do about anything, yeah? So they all went to Prabhupada, and every time they went to Prabhupada, and they just like, okay, Prabhupada, what do I do now? What do I say now? And Prabhupada literally had to tell them everything. So Prabhupada said, okay, just go and tell them that I have a Bhagavad Gita to publish. And Brahmananda Prabhu wasn't sure, should I take the manuscript or should I not take the manuscript? Prabhupada said, just go and just tell them that I have a Bhagavad Gita to publish. So he just went there to the office, to the Macmillan Publishing, and it turns out that the person who had actually ordered for the album was just one of the clerk, one of the most ordinary person you can expect in office. So that person came and he took the album, and he was going to leave, but then Brahmananda Prabhu was like, no, I can't let this guy go. I have to somehow make some connection here. And so he started talking about album and the Hare Krishna and everything. And just that time, another person happened to walk past, and this clerk actually introduced Brahmananda Prabhu to this person. They said, oh, this person, he's actually one of the publishers, one of the person who actually works for the publishing. And Brahmananda Prabhu's eyes just lit up. And he had memorized the words that Prabhupada had told him. So he just went to him and he said, I have a Bhagavad Gita to publish. That's exactly what Prabhupada taught him to say. And so he said, I have a Bhagavad Gita to publish. And all of a sudden this publisher, his eyes just lit up. He said, oh, really? He said, actually, our office, our publishing company has been going through this publishing of all the religious texts. And so we just finished publishing the text of all the other religions. The one that we did not have yet was a copy of Bhagavad Gita. He said, so you have a Bhagavad Gita? He said, okay, we'll publish it. And Brahmananda Prabhu said, and he was thinking that, don't you want to know about the author, like who wrote, or don't you want to at least have a look at the manuscript? He said, no, nothing. We'll publish it. Just bring the manuscript tomorrow, we'll publish it. And Brahmananda Prabhu was amazed that, okay, this is the power of serving the instructions of the Guru, that although they have no idea how to do it, somehow it's all happening. And I think what I heard was, yesterday was the date when the Bhagavad Gita was actually published in 1972. I'm not 100% sure, but someone can check. That'll be good. So here we can see that's the mood of the devotees, and that was the mood in earlier days, and that's the mood even now. That to the extent we can take on the instructions of the Guru and Krishna to our heart, and to the extent we can dedicate our sincerity and our life's purpose to the instructions, to that extent Krishna will provide. And so therefore Prabhupada, one of the Prabhupada's instruction was that we want this Bhagavatam to be in the house of every gentleman and lady. And in the early days, when Prabhupada made this instruction and devotees were struggling to distribute the magazines, and they could hardly even imagine that someone can actually buy a copy of the Bhagavad Gita or a copy of the Krishna book. It's a full big book. But then Prabhupada wanted the whole Bhagavatam set to go out to people. And devotees were thinking, how can that be possible? And we are also thinking now, how can that be possible? That the whole set of Bhagavatam, that someone would actually buy them? Like, people who don't know anything about Bhagavatam, people who don't know anything about Krishna, people who don't know anything about the Vedic culture, how can they buy a full set? It's so bewildering even to the devotees looking at the big set. How can we read them or how can we distribute them? But then Prabhupada wants it. Prabhupada wants that these books go out. And although it's bewildering, we still try to do this service. And although we don't have any ability, we don't have any personal skills. But then we have devotees who are actually distributing them. And then surprisingly that the people who are taking them. Sometimes people walk away with a whole set of Bhagavatam and we wonder, why are they even taking it, Like, what did they see in these books that or what did I even tell that they're ready to take books and they're ready to give like $300 for the book on the spot. They don't know us, they don't know the books, they don't know what the contents are, but they're just taking it. And that's Krishna is somehow making it happen. So we don't have any skills, we are not greatly skilled. But we have the enthusiasm, we have the sincerity, and that's why they can see that, and that's why they're inspired and they're taking these books. So let's try and do our service of what is instructed by Guru and Krishna, and we try to the best of our ability, and instead of focusing on all that we don't have to be able to properly serve, we should focus and pray that we have the greatest blessing of this instruction to perform the devotional service. And so we try to make the most out of it. We try to really dedicate our hearts to this service, and then Krishna provides us. So therefore our prayer should be not that, okay, Krishna, give me this or give me that for my service. But here the demigods are praying that you know what is required, so please do the needful. So we are praying that Krishna, I'm trying to serve you, and the only thing that we can ask for, that we can pray for, is give me the sincerity of purpose, give me the dedication, so I can dedicate my life, my heart, to serving the mission, to serving the instructions of my Guru, and the instructions that are given in the Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So with that, I finish. Thank you so much. Any questions or comments or corrections?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the nice class. Prabhu, in the translation it says that the demigods say that it's unnecessary to inform you about what we need. But we see when we pray to Lord Krishna, we always tell him what we want, what we're going through, even though we know that he knows what we're going through. So then what would be the point of prayers if we wouldn't it would be unnecessary to inform Lord Krishna what we need? So how do we understand?
Yes, so that's what I mentioned. That when we're praying, we're not necessarily praying for the material things. That, okay, give me the money so I can donate. Give me the strength so I can lift the buckets. No, but we can try our best, and we can try and serve Krishna, and then Krishna knows what is required, and Krishna will provide for that, in terms of our material needs. One thing that we always pray for is the sincerity. One thing that we always pray for is the dedication. That's what we can pray for, and that's what we should pray for. And everything else Krishna knows, and here the demigods are showing that actually Krishna knows what is required and what we need. So if Krishna can see that, okay, we are giving our best, then Krishna will give more. But if we're still keeping some aside, then Krishna knows that you are not giving everything that you have, and so therefore I don't need to give you more. So now when it comes to that, when we go to deities and we actually pray, we explain our situation, etc., that's being personal to the deities. So we can speak our heart out to the deities, just like we would speak to any other person, to our friends. So although the deities know, although Krishna knows, we can still discuss, we can still share our heart, and that makes the relationship very personal. We can explain, and that way we spend time. We're spending time with the deities, we're spending time with Krishna. We're explaining our situation, we're explaining our strengths and our struggles, but we're not just hung up on the struggles. That's the point. We are not just hung up on all that we don't have and going to Krishna for all of that. We can, if you're sharing your heart and if you're discussing, that's another thing. But yeah, again, the demigods here are showing that we don't need to keep telling devotee and Krishna and keep reminding Krishna that just in case if you have forgot, I just remind you, I really need this. No, Krishna knows, and he knows what to do and when to do what to do. So,
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Thank you very much. Granth Raj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai.